Thank you, Madam Chairman, and it's my pleasure to introduce Robert Shepard, Emeritus Professor of Law, University of Richmond Law School. Bob Shepard holds both undergraduate and law degrees from Washington and Lee University and has truly worked in all fields of juvenile justice, from the Attorney General's office to directing a youth advocacy clinic. He is well respected in his field and has earned numerous accolades and awards, including the Juvenile Justice Community Service Award from the Virginia Juvenile Officers Association and the Livingston Hall Award in Juvenile Justice from the American Bar Association. He is a nationally recognized expert on juvenile justice law, and I'd like to thank him for being with us today to talk about the importance of integrating research-based practices into JJDPA, and look forward to his recommendations.
In contrast to Mr. Jones, as I was introduced as an emeritus professor of law, that means I've been around a long time. As a matter of fact, the first time I went into a juvenile court, it was as a lawyer before In re Galt made it a constitutional requirement. I have been asked to give a brief overview of the important role of research in informing us regarding the development of public policy on juvenile justice. In the past 20 years, a great deal of research has been undertaken and published on the risk and protective factors influencing the behavior of young people, and much of that has been funded by Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act money. We also know considerably more about the development of the adolescent brain and the impact of its immaturity on judgment and impulse control. We need to draw on this research in advising state and local communities about what works and what doesn't work in addressing risky and criminal behavior by youth, and in providing technical assistance to them in implementing policies and programs that are effective. Let me give two brief illustrations of how this can be done. First, every piece of research that has been done on the practice of transferring children from juvenile court to adult court tells us that this is a practice that should be used in only the most exceptional cases, because it is wrong-headed and counterproductive. Young persons tried and incarcerated as adults have higher recidivism rates when released. They reoffend sooner after they are returned to the community, and their repeat offenses are more serious than for similar youth retained in juvenile court for the same behaviors. Second, research tells us that young persons who engage in illegal sexual behavior are far more amenable to rehabilitative treatment than their adult counterparts, and are generally at very low risk for engaging in such activity as adults, unlike adult pedophiles. And yet federal and state policies increasingly treat them as miniature molesters and require their registration in sex offender registries and impose mandatory minimum sentences on them. There are many more examples, and I especially refer you to the recent report of a Centers for Disease Control task force and the earlier report in October of 2004 issued by a State of the Science panel for the National Institutes of Health on what works and does not work in dealing with children who get in trouble. 2007 is not only the year for reauthorization of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act, it is also the 40th anniversary of the historic Supreme Court decision in re Galt, extending the protections of due process to juveniles, and a fitting way to celebrate that milestone would be to authorize a strengthened Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act and mandate a new commitment on the part of the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention to a meaningful collaboration with the state advisory groups in this unique partnership created in the 1974 Act between the federal government and the states through the state advisory groups appointed by the governors. That way we can truly realize the promise embedded in GALT in providing meaningful justice for juveniles and at the same time real safety for our communities.